DeWalt stepping up to the plate again, this time with a huge bat. This is the DeWalt DCF961. Before this, we had the DCF900, and usually you can tell the similarities between impact wrenches, and really and truly, there are not a lot of similarities between the 961 and the 900, and some of the numbers really got us questioning what's going on here, and we got a thought that this may get a little crazy. This is DeWalt's new king of the hill when it comes to half-inch impact wrenches. This is the DCF961. Now, I'd been rumored for a while, and then we finally realized it was actually going to come out just a couple of months ago. And this is supposed to have 1,750 foot-pounds of breakaway torque and 1,200 foot-pounds of fastening torque through this half-inch hog ring style anvil. That is a ton of torque coming out of a half-inch impact wrench. Now, one thing I noticed right away is quite a bit more rake in the head, meaning that tilt in the head, which what that does, the idea is like if you're, fastening or loosening a lug on a wheel, when you've got the socket on there, what that does is it kind of kicks the battery away from what you're working on. So the idea is it gives you a little more clearance when working on things. The other thing that stood out right away is just how much of a beast it is up here. Not so much that it's like, too big, but compared to its closest brother, cousin, sister, whatever you want to call it, this the DCF 900, you can see how much bigger that the new 961 is compared to the 900. Not much taller. In fact, it may be just a touch shorter on the back, a little taller in the front, but just as far as the breadth in the tool itself. Now, this has 4 modes. It has 3 different power or speed modes, and it has the precision wrench mode as well. Now, in speed 1, as for RPM, this is where things get quite a bit different than most of the impact wrenches that are out there, or at least in the cordless realm. And that is in mode 1 or speed 1, you're going to get 0 to 440 RPM. So let's put this in speed 1. You see we get a variable speed trigger, so we can slow that down as slow as we want. And then wide open, we're going to get 440 RPM. And then in speed 2, we're going to get up to 800 RPM. And then in speed 3, a max of only 1,200 RPM. Now, we hear a really high-pitched whine from the actual motor, but what we have going on are planetary gears in here that's actually, driving the dogs on the actual anvil. So the anvil is only spinning at 1,200, even though you hear that motor really winding up high. So very slow on the anvil side and very high on the motor side. That's telling me this DeWalt's probably turning a really heavy hitting impact weight, as well as probably a heavy spring that's in here. We won't be taking this apart right now, but we will at another video. But anyway, I really think this thing's going to be hitting hard, obviously, but more of a slow impact, which we'll probably be feeling as we're impacting on this. Now, a lot of the ergonomics look much the same as the other impact wrenches. Not much has changed, so that same comfortable feel in the handle, kind of elongated or almost a spherical or elliptical feel in the shape of the handle. Plenty of rubber overmolding to be comfortable. In addition to the 3 different speed modes, we also have precision wrench mode. Now, precision wrench mode is basically when it senses that it's tight, it's going to stop the tool, and then when in loosening in the precision wrench mode, it's going to slow the tool down when it senses that it's backed it off. Now, we talked about the RPM, a max of 1,200. Impacts per minute is going to max out at 1,890, so a little less than 1,900 impacts per minute, and that's it in full speed. Now, in mode 1, it's stating that it's only going to apply about 100 foot-pounds of force, and then in mode 2, you're going to get about 900 foot-pounds of fastening torque, and mode 3 is going to give you that full 1,200 foot-pounds of fastening torque. In loosen, anytime you have it in loosen, you're going to get that full 100% power, 1,750 foot-pounds of loosening torque. Now you can get this as a bare tool. You can also get it kitted, and when you get it kitted, you get the 5 amp hour oil resistant battery. Obviously they're 20-volt batteries, and the tool is also tool connect ready. So you can take these 2 screws out right here, pull that plate out, put your tool connect chip in, and now you can be part of the inventory tracking, keeping your tools secure, and all the things that the tool connect gives you. Now let's take a look at the size of this tool. And width-wise, at the widest point, we're almost 3 3/4 inches, so 3.66 inches. And tip to tail, front to back, almost about 8 3/8 of an inch. And then height-wise, right at 11 3/4 of an inch at the tip of the tool. And that's with the 5 amp hour battery. This is really where it's going to tip the scales as well. With the 5 amp hour battery, 9 pounds, 3 ounces. So not a light tool whatsoever, but at the same time, this is a high torque impact wrench, right? So yes, 7 3/4 of a pound by itself with no battery. And just to give you an idea of 5 amp hour battery, the DCF 900, 7 3/4 pounds tool and battery. That's how much the tool itself weighs over here. So 7 3/4 pounds versus 9 pounds 3 ounces for the 961. Now, in addition to the modes or power modes where you can cycle through the different modes, we also have an LED light button where we can turn this on low or on high or off. So you can see even when we pull the trigger, the light is off. Put it on low, it's going to come on low, and put it on high, obviously when you pull the trigger, it's going to stay on high. And that will go off after sitting there for about 10 seconds. Now let's go have some fun, put this on the test bench and see if we actually make the numbers that they claim. Okay folks, you may want to pack a lunch because we may be here a while with how strong this thing is supposed to be. But let's go ahead and get started. We will take our torque tool and we will torque the first fastener at 150 foot-pounds, just because that's the least we can go on that. And then we're going to increment up to 200 and then 100-pound increments after that. So 150, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and then we'll jump up to 800, 900, 1,000, and 1,100. After that, if we get through that whole cycle, then we'll start back over on those larger fasteners at 1,200 foot-pounds. And I think we may go through a few of those cycles, so let's get started. Okay, here's how we run this if you haven't seen our testing before. We've got each of these torqued. We're going to let the impact wrench hammer away or impact away at the fastener for up to 10 seconds. Now, these first few, it's going to break them free really quickly. But as they get tougher, the impact will sit there and impact on them. Now, what we will allow is it to hammer on that fastener for up to 10 seconds. If it's starting to move that fastener in that 10-second window, we will let the impact wrench continue to turn that until it actually breaks it fully free. But once it starts turning, we're going to give it that unless it just stops again. But it's going to have that 10-second window to start that turning, and once it does, we'll let it go ahead and finish. If it's not turning that faster in that 10-second window, then we actually won't give it that faster. So let's get started. We'll make sure that we are in mode 3. That gives us 100%. Make sure we're loosening. Get our first socket on. And you'll notice we have hash marks around the socket so you can see when it's turning or not. And again, these first few are going to happen really quick. Okay, here we are on the last 4 fasteners here. These are our largest fasteners, and they are torqued at 800, 900, 1,000, and 1,100 foot-pounds. I do want you to notice we have pretty much a brand new socket. It is a brand new socket other than like just a tad of testing on it. But I think you'll see this change quite a bit after testing with this DeWalt. Let's find out. Still in reverse. Full battery. 800 foot-pounds. Okay, let's start this over again, and we're going to start at 1,600 foot-pounds, 1,700, 1,800, and 1,900. Have a full battery still. Still in mode 3. In reverse. Okay, that's the first time I've felt this and heard this kick in. It basically has a turbo mode, if you will. In other words, it hits for 4 to 5 seconds. I believe that DeWalt says 4 seconds. And when it's hit at a maximum of 4 seconds, it literally puts in another charge, and you actually feel it, hear it, see it, everything kick in more power to drive that faster. And that's where you saw it would be hammering for a few seconds, and then bam, just break those free. So you definitely feel it come on, you see it come on, you hear it come on. You can see here we're at 2,300 foot-pounds is where we just torqued these fasteners to. Okay, let's start at 2,000 foot-pounds, 2,100, 2,200, and 2,300. $2,700 foot-pounds. Okay, here we go again. 2,400 foot-pounds, 25, 26, and 2,700. As we thought, with the slow moving huge hammer, you're actually feeling all of that impact. It is a very aggressive tool, which it should be. We're not opposed to that at all. When you're reaching for a high torque, you want it to get the work done, and it's definitely getting work done. We're going to call it at 2,600 foot-pounds, not give it the 2,700. Definitely the furthest we've seen a 1/2 inch impact wrench go. And as we mentioned, ow, that's hot. We have gone through that socket now, and it's time to replace it after one use. Let's take a look here at precision wrench mode. So we're going to put it in precision wrench mode, and then these nuts are loose here. So let's go ahead and tighten those up. So you see it actually tightened for a second, and then stopped the tool, and then started hammering away again. I'll do that one more time. So my finger never left the trigger. It actually sensed it was a little snug, stopped for a second, and then started hammering away again. Now let's go to reverse. So you see that once it broke it free, it slowed it way down. So that's what precision wrench mode is going to do. It's going to really slow down the reverse side, and when you're tightening, it's going to pause for a second and then start back up again. Here's the bottom line. When you're building a high torque impact wrench, you can take one of two paths. Well, I'm sure you could take about any path, but you could choose the Thor hammer, or you could choose, the small machinist hammer. Point being is, you can attack the situation with RPM, in other words, a lot of revolutions, so speed, and a lot of hits of a smaller weight. Or you can attack it with a slower method with a heavier weight. And when you're swinging that heavier weight, it's going to require probably some more beef behind it, so a bigger motor to be able to hammer that larger weight, as well as beefing up everything else to be able to absorb those impacts or to be able to hold up to those impacts. And this is basically what DeWalt has done with the 961. It is a terror to use. I shouldn't say terror, like it's not that uncomfortable to use initially, but after we've been testing on the test bench for quite a long time, it starts getting to you because you're feeling every hit. And especially when it kicks into that second gear, if you will, it really pours the power on and you feel a huge difference. So you're feeling all of those impacts, but it never missed a beat. It never hiccuped or anything else. I'm surprised at that because there is no battery isolator that we can tell on here. So it's handling all those impacts. There was no hiccup in power or where the battery came dislodged or anything like that. I would be curious to see if DeWalt could add that, a battery isolator of some sort, because there is a ton of vibration going on with that huge hitting. But here's the bottom line. This thing is a beast. It delivers a ton of power. We were breaking free 2,600 foot-pounds. And by the way, we went back with a fresh battery and we were able to break free the 2,700. I know it was starting to move and then stopped, so I don't know if we sensed maybe some battery voltage drop off or if the tool was just heating up, but we did wait a couple of minutes as we were cleaning up, and then hit it again, and it did break free. Here's the point on this. We have far exceeded the power needed on a 1/2-inch anvil. The powers we're seeing now should definitely be stepped up to a 3/4 inch anvil minimum, if not to a 1-inch anvil, when you're needing that much power on a fastener. I know some of you are going to say, well, you should push it as far as you can, and we did. We pushed it as far as we saw comfortable, and again, breaking free 2,600 foot-pounds is a huge feat. So this thing definitely delivers the power. Now let's talk about pricing. You're looking at $369 for the bare tool and a 3-year warranty. If you step up to the kit, you get one 5-amp-hour oil-resistant battery, as well as the charger and the bag, and that's going to run you $499. So $500 is going to get you the 5-amp-hour battery, the 961, and the charger, so your whole kit. And again, 3-year warranty on that as well. We'll have a link in the description. Not sure if you can get these yet. You should be able to see these on the shelves any day now, so check it out for yourself. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day. Keep smiling.